Before the glitz, the glamour, and the screaming fans, there was silence. Not the kind that comes from peace, but the kind that comes from searching. Searching for identity. For home. For purpose. Kerem Bürsin's story doesn't begin in front of a camera. It begins in a moving car. A car filled with suitcases, a hopeful family, and a boy looking out the window, wondering, where will we go next? From the bustling chaos of Istanbul to the sun-scorched plains of Texas, from lonely nights in Los Angeles to red carpets in Europe, this is the untold story of a man who became a star not by chance, but by choice. A story of resilience, reinvention, and the road less traveled. Chapter 1: Born Between Worlds. Kerem Bürsin was born on June 4, 1987, in Istanbul, Turkey, a city that sits between two continents, where East meets West. Perhaps that was fate's first signal. This child was destined to live between worlds. His father, a successful international businessman, and his mother, a woman of warmth and discipline, raised Kerem and his sister in a whirlwind of airports, languages, and cultural contrasts. The Bürsin family moved frequently. By the time Kerem was 12, he had already lived in Scotland, Indonesia, the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Malaysia, and the United States. To most, this sounds exciting. But to a child, it meant starting over. Again. And again. New schools, new faces, new rules. Every time Kerem began to understand a place, it was time to leave. Friendships faded into memory. Roots never had time to grow. And yet, these constant moves gifted him something rare: adaptability. He learned to listen, to observe, to mirror people's emotions. He became a chameleon, not because he wanted to be, but because he had to be. He learned English as a second language, but eventually became fluent enough to feel more comfortable in it than Turkish. He grew up consuming Hollywood movies, idolizing actors like Al Pacino and Edward Norton, and quietly asking himself, could I ever do that? Chapter 2: Sugarland, Texas, the American Experience. The Bürsin family eventually settled, if you could call it that, in Sugarland, Texas. A suburban town known for its southern charm and conservative values. It was nothing like Istanbul. It was football, fried chicken, cowboy boots, and churches. And into this world walked a thin Turkish boy with an accent. High school was a challenge. Kerem wasn't bullied outright, but he felt out of place. He wasn't into sports. He didn't understand the local slang. He listened to different music. He loved to draw, to read, to imagine. He was artistic in a place that often didn't reward that. But then something shifted. At Stephen F. Austin High School, a drama teacher noticed something in him, a quiet intensity. She gave him a small role in a school play. That single moment cracked open a door Kerem didn't even know existed. For the first time, he felt alive. Performing on stage wasn't scary, it was freeing. He could become someone else. And in doing so, he began to find himself. Kerem dove into theater. He memorized monologues, studied Shakespeare, and spent hours after school rehearsing scenes. His peers started noticing him. Not just for his talent, but for his passion. Something clicked. He still struggled with identity. He was too Turkish to feel fully American, too American to be fully Turkish. But when he was acting, none of that mattered. Chapter 3: Boston and the Dream That Wouldn't Die. After high school, Kerem moved to Boston to attend Emerson College, a school known for communication and the arts. He chose to major in marketing and communications, perhaps trying to find a middle ground between passion and practicality. But the stage kept calling. While studying marketing during the day, he took acting classes at night. He acted in student films. He read screenplays for fun. He volunteered for local theater productions. Every free moment he had, he gave to the craft. Then came the move to Los Angeles. It was a gamble. He didn't have a famous last name. He didn't have an agent. He barely had money. But he had faith. Chapter 4: Los Angeles, the grind. Los Angeles is a city built on dreams, and broken by them. For every actor who makes it, 1,000 don't. Kerem knew this. But he didn't care. He arrived in LA with a duffel bag, a thick Turkish accent, and a relentless drive. He found a tiny apartment, got a job as a valet, then another as a moving truck assistant. He once worked at a smoothie shop. Anything to survive. He went to audition after audition. Rejection became a rhythm. You're not the right look. Too foreign. Try again next year. Still, he pushed forward. He booked a few roles, small parts in indie films, commercials, even a low-budget sci-fi film called Sharktopus. It wasn't glamorous, but it was work. It was progress. One night, after another failed audition, Kerem sat in his car and cried. Not out of sadness, but out of exhaustion. Out of love for something that didn't seem to love him back. But he never stopped. And then, the phone rang. Chapter 5, Istanbul Calls. It was a producer in Turkey. They had seen his work. They were casting a new TV series. Would he come back? Kerem was hesitant. He hadn't lived in Turkey for over a decade. His Turkish was rusty. The industry there was unfamiliar. But something in him said, go. He took a leap of faith and flew to Istanbul. The series was Ganesi Beklerken, and the role, Kerem Sayer, fit him like a glove. A rebellious, misunderstood youth with a chip on his shoulder and a hidden heart of gold. The show became a phenomenon. Teenagers plastered his face on their bedroom walls. Magazines called him the new face of Turkish drama. Directors lined up to work with him. And just like that, the boy who had once been invisible in Texas became a household name in Turkey. Chapter 6, A Star with Depth. But fame didn't change Kerem, it refined him. He used his platform to speak out about issues many actors avoided. He talked about climate change, mental health, masculinity, and being vulnerable. He wasn't just acting anymore, he was influencing. Not as a celebrity, but as a person. In 2020, he starred in Sen Kal Kapini opposite Hande Erçel. The chemistry was undeniable. The show was a massive success, not just in Turkey, but worldwide. It was dubbed into multiple languages, trending in countries like Spain, Brazil, and India. Kerem had gone global. Chapter 7, Between Cultures, Beyond Borders. Kerem often says he doesn't feel completely Turkish or completely American. He's a blend. A bridge. And maybe that's his greatest strength. He dreams of making films that transcend borders, stories that unite rather than divide. He's developing his own projects. Writing. Producing. Creating. He wants to give back. To tell stories that matter. Stories like his. The story of a kid who never belonged until he learned to belong to himself. OUTRO, Finding Home. So who is Kerem Bürsin? He is not just a pretty face on a screen. Not just a celebrity with a million followers. He is the boy who sat quietly in Texas, wondering where he fit in. He is the man who risked everything in LA with nothing but a dream. He is the actor who came back to Turkey, unsure of his place, and built a legacy. Kerem Bürsin is proof that home is not a place. It's a path. And he's still walking it.